10 tracks that I've adored in 2020. And the first one on my list, coming at number 10, was actually quite a surprise when I liked the album as much as I did. That was Mushroom Head's A Wonderful Life, which is the album, released via Napalm Records 19th of June. And the song in particular from that album that resonated with me the most and I've continued to listen to, man, not too far off daily, every day since it was released, is called Where the End Begins. You forgot that from it, that'd be good. Really cool song, man. It's quite long, it's quite epic, you know, it's got a real slow build to it, which, you know, I guess could be a struggle to get through if you're not a huge fan or you haven't enjoyed the album up to this point. But work your way through it because the payoff as you get at the end of it is absolutely phenomenal. It's got loads of cool transitions, nice gloomy kind of tones to it, wonderful vocals throughout. And yeah, there you go, number 10. Where the End Begins, Mushroom Head, from their album A Wonderful Life. Fire beyond the threshold of desire, from false dance comes a final reckoning.
Children of Cain, Demons and Wizards. Their latest album, 3, this year, has many great songs in it, but it is Children of Cain, more than any of the others, that stood out for me. I have listened to this song non-stop all year. It's been in my car, I have pretended I'm Hansi Kirch trying to sing along with no the amount of talent. It is an epic, obviously based around the story of Cain and Abel from the Bible. But in addition to that, it's just a great performance that is super duper folky, mellow, has this little burst as well of heaviness, and the finale with the strumming with guitar and the wonderful, I always say, we love him so much, singing voice of Hansi Kirch makes this one of my favourite tracks of the year.
Ninth place on my list of 10 tracks that I've really obsessed over in 2020, and we have the song Soil Existence, which is by the band ALMANAC, or Victor Smolsky's ALMANAC. It was released on the album Rush of Death, which came out on the 6th of March this year via Nuclear Blast, and it's an absolute banger. The whole album blew me away, to be honest with you, but this one is so brilliant. It kind of comes at this perfect time where it's got like a little interlude before it called Let the Show Begin, which builds up to then this absolute, you know, catchy as fuck, hook-laden beast of a song. I just love it. It's absolutely brilliant. I really recommend the album, but, you know, if you just want to try one song out, Soil Existence is the one to try.
Melt. From the album The Secret Teachings of Sorrow. The track is called Hellion, a band and a track and an album that came out of nowhere for me. In fact, it was literally a random reaction video that decided to do after getting a promotional email regarding it to check out, and it was like, let's do a reaction video to the song Hellion, see how it goes. And wow, it just turned me into a super fan of this particular band. This track is amazing. This band are amazing. A very eclectic, unique take on metal, including using their own language. Hellion is the one that I think if you want to know and understand what melt are, this is the track you should begin with. The moment that initial guitar melody kicks in and then you just get this wild female style vocals that just blows you away with the passion and the furore behind it, and it's just a journey of a track. It's one that has been on regular rotation for me this year, and that's why it's one of my top 10.
Hello, we're back again for another track from my 10 favourite tracks of this wonderful 2020. So next up on my list, in 8th place, is a Christmas special from the power metal band MAJESTICA. The album A Christmas Carol, released on the 4th of December by Nuclear Blast. and it's a banger. Lots of good songs in it. I could probably quite easily have put a few more in this list, but we'll stick to one, and my favourite one is To Go So Christmas Fast, which is just the catchiest, most grand, epic song that you listen to it, you feel instantly better. I found myself returning to it again and again, and yeah, extremely enjoyable. So there you go, number 8, Majestica, at The Go So Christmas Fast.
Touche Amore, new album this year called Lament, an amazing combination of post-punk, post-hardcore, heavy metal goodness. Very personal record, perhaps not as personal, of course, as the previous record, which obviously was to deal with the fallout of cancer and stuff like that. However, there was one track in particular that does deal with this subject more than any other, and it's lyrically almost in response to where things are at right now. It's the final track, it's A Forecast. Now I'm going to read, like I did with another one, I'm going to read the opening set of lyrics that come from this, because it's effectively just vocals and a very soft piano being played, and it's incredibly beautiful, incredibly touching, incredibly relevant before it kicks into the sort of hardcore post-punk edge that it has later on. So the lyrics go like this. Since the last time we spoke, I've learned quite a lot. The people I thought would reach out, turns out they would not. On the anniversaries of the worst kind of days, my phone was mostly silent, one excuse was giving space. It's not like I wrote some lyrics detailing the exact events, some profit off the album, and most I just consider friends. But that's the way it goes. I've healed more than suffered. I found a patience for jazz. I still love the Coen brothers. I've lost more family members, not to cancer, but the GOP. What's the difference? I'm not for certain. They all end up dead to me. So here's the record closer, still working out its intent. I'm not sure what I'm after, but it couldn't go left unsaid. And then we kind of kick into a harder, heavier kind of, let's say, hardcore edge. And this track just blew me away when I first heard it, and I can hear it now, probably the 100th or 200th time I've heard it, and I still love it as much as I did the rest. So this is why it's a top 10 one for me.
Last time we spoke, I've learned quite a lot. The people I thought would reach out, turns out they would not.
So, number 7 on my 10 tracks of 2020 that had the most impact on me, really. Didn't return to the most, and this time we're going the UK band, SAR. The song itself is called Hydra from the EP Twisted, which came out at the end of February this year, and yeah, I mean the whole EP is fucking phenomenal, but Hydra's the song I really kind of clicked with the most out of everything on it. Just a real powerful number, you know. It starts off heavy, but the band are expansive. They really throw a lot into their tracks, a lot of time and effort, it seems anyway, goes into it, or maybe it's all natural, who knows. But you know, you're transitioning through melodies, you've got softer bits, you've got some nice gentle use of some sort of effects and stuff at the end of it. And yeah, real impactful track, leaves you feeling a little bit introspective. So there you go, track 7, or number 7 of the tracks is Hydra by SAR from the EP Twisted.
When you arise, I feel my blood is crying, with your lies and fame promises.
My latest choice comes from an ALMANAC's new album, In Darkenment. Banging album, one of the best of the year, but it's from that, Feeding the Death Machine, that I'm choosing my next track. It is a absolute rager in the best possible way, death metal style, but it also has a fantastic melodic chorus that just is daringly catchy. You kind of get into it and you start trying to sort of sing along, particularly as it has clean vocals. But in between that, the actual verses are blasting the face off you. It's constantly crushing, you know, hardcore drumming, hefty guitar riffs. It's all there, everything you love about an ALMANAC, but like I said, with a massive chorus that just gets stuck in your head. And it's why when it came to choosing a track from this album, I kind of had to include this one more than any of the others, because it's the one that I could remember singing along to the most in the car as best as you possibly can. So yeah, an ALMANAC, Breathing the Death Machine.
So, number 6 on my list of 10 amazing songs of 2020, and a band that just had to be in here because they released one of the, if not the album of the year this year, and that is from Vader, the album Solitude and Madness, which came out in May on Nuclear Blast. The song I've gone for from that is Incineration of the Gods. Also, to be fair, I could probably have had 4 or 5 choices out of it. I've pretty much gone for every track on the album throughout the year. It's been a favourite at some point, and at the moment I'm hooked on Incineration of the Gods, which just, to me, has a few moments that just elevate it, make it a tiny little bit better than all the other absolutely brilliant songs on the album. There's a bit more groove, some nice little vocal touches, a bit of echo, a little bit of backing vocals here and there, just make it sound even fresher when you listen to it on the album as a whole. Just something different that makes it sound like, you're not listening to the same stuff repeated. It also has probably the best solo on the album for me, and there are a lot of really fucking good solos on this album, so there you go. It's a big band, big album. Hopefully everyone's checked it out already, but if you haven't, Vader, Solitude and Madness, and the track Incineration of the Gods.
Countless Skies came back this year with their new album Glow, and it blew me away. I expected good things from the Brits, but I didn't expect an album so detailed, so deep, so meaningful, and so addictive to listen to. And from the very start, it absolutely slays. And that's the track I'm choosing, the opening track, Tempest, which has such an incredible mix of heavy melodic metal and uplifting melodies. The chorus is pure fucking killer stuff, makes you walk 10 feet tall, makes you sit up that little bit straighter, makes you feel that little bit more excited. The entire album as a whole is absolutely brilliant, but if there's one track I keep coming back to more than any other, it is Tempest.
So, track 5 of my 10 tracks of this interesting year of 2020 is from the band Serenity, and the song is called Souls and Sins. It's from the album The Last Night, which is a kind of concept album based around Knights of the Round Table, King Arthur, Camelot, all that sort of power metal goody stuff. Released 31st of January by Napalm Records. Didn't really know an awful lot about the band beforehand, but checked it out for reviewing, and yeah, I really liked it. It's quite clean. It's not really commercial as such because it's power metal. It doesn't get played enough to be deemed commercial, but it's got those soaring kind of melodies and let's throw our fists in the air sort of beat to a lot of the songs. And one of the songs on it in particular, Souls and Sins, it's just the absolute jaw-dropping, cracking, amazing song on the album. One of the slower ones on it, although it's still got a nice hefty kind of beat to it. Really well sung, it's really catchy. Massive favourite of mine, one of my favourite songs to listen to this year, as well as most other people that I've played it to be fair, and that's quite a few. I'm quite pushy like that. Yeah, so good as well actually. They're on the album Last Night. They even did an acoustic version of it as the final track, which is not quite as good, but not far off. It's really good to listen to as well. So there you go. My 5th favourite song of this year is Souls and Sins by Serenity from the album The Last Night. Check it out.
Bowl's latest offering, new album Ellipses, and my favourite album of the year, houses one of the best tracks of the year called Rosalie. It's the final track on the album, and if you want a track that sums up the melancholy, melodic beauty mixed with crushing, depressing, intense post-black metal, it is this track. From the opening 4 minutes, it just builds up this great emotional outpouring that leads into heavy, brutalizing metal. It is this track, It is one of my most played, and the album's quite recent as well, but still one of my most played album tracks of the year. You must check this one out. It's why it's one of my top 10.
Number 4 from the list of 10 tracks that have blown my mind in this interesting year of 2020, and this time we're looking at the band Inferry and the song Aeon's Torn, which is from their EP of Sunless Realms, which is released on the 9th of October on the Artisan era, I believe, of the label. It's a really strong EP for a start, very heavy, you know, bordering on the extreme metal side of things, but with a little grandiose sort of element to it, you know, little introductions of some symphonic orchestral elements, and Aeon's Torn is the perfect example of that. You know, real heavy music that, you know, you just want to lose yourself like in the pit to. But then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you'll be the little inclusion of a piano melody, and it's just, yeah, it's jaw-dropping stuff. And that EP full of amazing songs, but that Aeon's Torn for me stands out. And that's why it's on my list. So check it out if you haven't already. Aeon's Torn by Inferry on the EP Sunless Realms.
From Proto Cult and the album Transcending the Ruins comes Greet the Dawn. They're a folk pagan metal band where a lot of the music is quite fun and upbeat and bouncy. Greet the Dawn in particular stands out more because of how melodic and pretty it is. It's got some of the finest vocals on the entire album, but it's touching in such a way with gorgeous melodies that it's a melancholic but still incredibly enlightening piece of music. It's why it makes my top 10.
So into the top 3 of my 10 tracks that I've really enjoyed the most this 2020, and this one I'm really going to struggle to say, so we'll give it our best shot. It's called gbhblofficial, which I'm sure is nowhere near what it's actually meant to be called. The song comes from the album Drag Me Down by the band Cabal. It was released the 3rd of April on Long Branch Records, and yeah, it was one of my albums of the year. Oh man, this album blew me away. Knew nothing about the band going into it and came out of it like this shit. These guys are awesome. I think I've spent about 150 quid on every item of merch they've released over the years. It's just become a bit of an obsession with me, really. This track in particular, though, was and when you listen to the album, like it's essentially like real raw brutality for the most part, the beginning part of it, and then you hit this track. And it's different, not in that it's softer or anything like that, but it's slowed down. It's really dirty and filthy sounding, proper, aggressive, death groove music. Vocals are hellish. Oh, it's just phenomenal. I can literally talk about it now. I can just hear it in my head. So I'm gonna probably go and play it. So yeah, there you go. Number 3, gbhblofficial, by Cabal from the album Drag Me Down.
Satanic folk. It does sound a bit stupid, doesn't it? The sort of tag that I'd normally avoid. However, this year I decided to check out an album called Full Virgo Moon by an artist known as King Do. An artist capable of weaponizing his music to take shots at his detractors and still make incredibly affecting music. And from that album, the one track I played over and over again is The Satanic Temple, a wonderfully morose and mellow tune that is dripping in emotion. It's wonderfully sung and has some of my favourite fuck you lyrics I've heard this year. The lyrics go like this: black mark from Satan's arm, it's just a mark, it don't mean shit. It don't mean shit to the kids who all know they invented it. It can't exist just as it is, a static god is just a monolith. Now, I obviously am not conveying how great those lyrics are, but if you hear them in the conjunction of this song with its super morose folk melody and well-sung vocals, it's a must listen. That's why it's one of my 10 nominations.
second on the list then, of my 10 tracks that I've absolutely adored in 2021. And this one comes from Avatar, the album Hunter Gatherer, which was released in August this year on Century Media. And this was quite an impactful album for me, but I guess it kind of started with a live stream that I saw from them. Not being a fan of the band at the beginning of the year, watched the live stream, fell in love with the band, and then became absolutely obsessed with them for the whole year. But this album obviously came out this year, and I love every track on it. I really do, from the heavier ones like, well, the more experimental ones like Colossus, the soft ones like Gun. Could easily have mixed up many tracks from this into a top 10. But I'm going to go for just one, and it's my current obsession, which is the song Justice, which I think is just a real good blend of everything I've kind of become a fan of Avatar. You know, it's got heaviness, it's got crunchy rhythms, crunchy beats, it's got eclectic ideas, lyrical content is good, the vocals are amazing, love the choruses, the chorus is fucking huge. Just an all-round wonderful track from an all-round wonderful album. So there you go, second on the list, Justice by Avatar from the album Hunter Gatherer.
I'm a big fan of the Dutch masters of horror, Carrick Angren. The fantastical style of theatrical and flamboyant black metal has wowed me for many years. And the latest album, Frankensteinia Stratomontanus, is another blinder. But it isn't about the album specifically, rather than an individual track. For my top 10 favourite tracks of the year comes from that album. In fact, it is the title track that lays out the splendour and sense of magical majesty of the album perfectly. A fantastical and gothic horror-laden trip that mixes bombastic grandness and fiery black metal. If I was to play this track to someone who had never heard Carrick Angren before, it would likely be this track more than anything else.
Hey, so we made it to our number one, my favourite track of 2020, the song I've listened to the most, and that honour goes to the band To Kill Achilles from their EP, Oh God, I've Never Felt So Low, released in October by a Rising Empire. The song in particular from it is called Beautiful Morning, as in MOURNING, and man, this one hit me in the feels. It's slow, heavy, but like in a weighty kind of atmospheric way. Vocals are passionate, powerful, you know, it's a sad song, to be honest with you, you know, going to it expecting to feel better and Christmassy, but, you know, overall, you just can't, it's faultless. You know, when a band pour their heart and soul into something like that, it deserves to be recognised, and I think, yeah, it's an absolutely phenomenal EP, and the best song on it for me by a long shot, so there you go, my most impressed by song of 2020, To Kill Achilles, Beautiful Morning from the EP, Oh God, I've Never Felt So Low. Merry Christmas.
I was only 14 and was told that my mother was no good.
Indie rockers Ghost Arcadia released their new EP, Libero, earlier this year. A professional indie rock outfit. The catchiest track on the EP is Glory. Such a banger. Excitingly bouncy while also being a hell of a sing-along. A track that simply should be taking the rock world by storm. Easily one of my most listened to tracks this year. Thank you very much for watching. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Tumblr. Go to Patreon to help us out over there. That's patreon.com/gbhbl, as well as Big Cartel, where you can find some of our merchandise. We have a podcast running on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you like this video, do us a favour, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. Games, horror and heavy metal, what else is life for?